Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, fresh out of the shower, feeling good, and want to do another review request. Now, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with the review request, it's something that I just started recently. Every now and again, I'm going to ask you guys on my Facebook page to offer me movie suggestions that you want to hear me talk about, that you want to hear me review, and I'll pick one and do just that. About a week ago, did my first review request, which was for the Sleepaway Camp series. Had a lot of fun doing that. Decided that I want to do more. So if you haven't liked my Facebook page, I urge you to go over and do that now. And actually had several people suggest that I talk about the Jaws series. And it's surprising to me that I've not talked about the Jaws series more on this channel, considering how much I love the original Jaws. It's a movie that I've seen probably more than any other movie. I love it dearly. I know it frontwards and backwards. I know pretty much all the dialogue. It is an absolute classic in my opinion. And not really going to talk a whole lot about the storyline. We all know, I'm sure most of us, all of us really should have seen Jaws. It is, without doubt, a classic film. The first big screen movie directed by Steven Spielberg, who had previously done some television work. He did a TV movie called Duel, which if you guys haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. It's also good. It's available on DVD. The thing about Jaws is how much of a mess it was while making. It just spiraled completely out of control. It was vastly over budget, vastly over schedule. They were going to fire Steven Spielberg. The shark, which Spielberg had lovingly named Bruce after, I think it was his entertainment lawyer, I'm not 100% sure about that, never worked. Never worked. They shot it on location in Martha's Vineyard. They shot it on the ocean. The salt water just destroyed the shark. So it never worked. They had script problems. They were basically rewriting the script as they were making the movie. So, I mean, it had all these detriments that should have derailed the movie, that should have made it a complete mess. All those detriments worked for the movie and were complete assets to the movie. The fact that we had to wait to see the shark almost to the third reel. I think it was in the third reel we didn't even see the shark really up close and personal out of the water. We had that awesome John Williams score that took the place of the shark, and we knew where the shark was, of course, through the POVs of the camera underwater, but also through the music. And the louder the music got, the closer we knew the shark was, and it just built this incredible tension and suspense throughout the movie. The characters are all fantastic. They're all incredibly well written, which is surprising considering that, like I said, they were basically writing the script as they were working. The speech by Robert Shaw about the SS Indianapolis is just amazing. I mean, it's just an amazing, it's an action, adventure, suspense. It's got elements of horror. It's an amazing film. It's a great, great film. Can't say much more than that. It is a complete and utter classic. I love it to death. The original Jaws is definitely one of my all-time favorite movies. As I said, it's the one that I've seen probably the most in my life on VHS. It used to be on TV all the time when I was growing up. I remember, I would see it coming on. I'd pop in a VHS tape and try and record it, and my mother would be like, "Why are you even bothering? It comes on every week. Why record it?" So I mean, I had it probably recorded on half a dozen different, VHS tapes, and it was on constantly. And the Blu-ray that came out just a couple of months ago is definitely worth the money. Lots of special features on it. If you're a Jaws fan, you definitely need to own that Blu-ray. But yeah, Jaws, just hands down, absolute classic. One of the best films ever, in my opinion. Jaws 2, the Brody family. Again, Chief Brody, at odds with the shark. Is it a worthy sequel? It's not a bad movie. It's definitely not a bad movie. Is it anywhere on par to the original? No, but it's a sequel, and sequels generally aren't supposed to. Jaws was the original huge summer blockbuster that was released, simultaneously all across the country. It made oodles and oodles of money, so there was no doubt that there was going to be a Jaws 2. Lots of hype around Jaws 2. It too made a lot of money. Not as good as the original by any stretch of the imagination, but I think a worthy sequel. I think a decent movie. A lot of fun to watch. A lot of, again, action, adventure, horror elements. The whole thing with the kids out on their little wind sailboats or whatever they are, having to cluster together while fending off the shark while Chief Brody rushes out to save them. That's all really cool. The Jaws chasing the girl on the ski, like they showed on the poster art. That's really cool. A decent movie. I would say it's a worthy sequel, but I wouldn't say it's anywhere on par with the original Jaws by any stretch of the imagination, but still not a bad movie at all. I really can't say that about the other two installments in the Jaws series. Jaws 3, which surprisingly enough was intended to be a comedy, a parody. It was originally intended to be called Jaws 3 People Zero, and was supposed to be directed by Joe Dante of Gremlins and The Howling fame. That didn't work out. Instead of going in that direction, they went back to the bread and butter of Great White Shark going after the Brody family. This time it is the Brody siblings, the two brothers, one of which is played by Dennis Quaid in the movie, who are working at a SeaWorld type place, and Jaws gets in there, gives birth, and proceeds to wreak havoc on SeaWorld. This Jaws 3 also stands out because of the fact that it was shot in 3D, so there's a lot of those 3D gags. There's a very famous 3D gag toward the end of the movie where Jaws is coming through this big window into like a control station where all the characters have masked. And it's just so funny because Jaws, it looks so bad. It's just gliding. It's just gliding like a loaf of bread to the window. And then finally, there's like this really bad digital work where the shark like raises its mouth to show its teeth, and then it collides through the window. And yeah, not a lot of great 3D stuff going on there. Not a really great movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's fun in that it's kind of so bad, but not that fun. A movie that's fun because it is so bad is actually the next installment, Jaws: The Revenge, in which we find Chief Brody's wife is now being stalked by an enormous great white shark. It's just funny to think about it. It's funny to say it, actually. So yeah, Chief Brody's wife has escaped to the Bahamas to try and get away from this big great white shark who's just got it out for the Brody family. It's turned into a revenge thing. The shark, or ancestors of the original Jaws shark, keep coming back and attacking the Brody family to try and get revenge. So anyway, Jaws 4 is just an absolute mess. You got Mario Van Peebles running around in dreadlocks with his Jamaican accent. You've got Michael Caine in there for some reason. I guess they paid him a whole lot of money. He actually won an Oscar. They were shooting the film around the same time as the Oscars, and he actually won an Oscar for, I forget the movie, but he couldn't go. He wasn't there to accept the Oscar because he was shooting Jaws: The Revenge. I think basically the reason why this movie was made was because the actress who played Ellen Brody, Lorraine Gary, was married to the president of Universal. And, it was a starring role for her. I've even heard her say in interviews, it was her first. It was my first above the title credit. So I think the movie was made just for her. Just to have a starring role, pretty much. It's very hackneyed. It's very bad. It's very poorly made. The shark looks awful. They don't even try and cover up the fact that you can see the gears and the strings. You can see all the strings attached to the shark. There's a lot of shots where you can just see the gear under the shark that's propelling it through the water. They don't even care. And I mean, it's clearly visible. And they're just like, just cut, print it. Who cares? Just let's move on. They didn't even care that you could see those, and not just in one scene, but in many, many scenes. I mean, you can go on YouTube and just type in Jaws the Revenge, and I mean, there's a compilation of all the goofs in that movie where they're showing literally all the strings attached to the shark. And it's just ridiculous. Like, the shark roars. The ending of the movie is just really, really far out there and ridiculous and hilarious. The shark roars like some sort of dinosaur, or I don't know. The shark literally comes up out of the water, completely vertical, and the bow of the boat is driven into the shark's neck, into its gills, and blood starts flying everywhere, and the shark dies. It's really, really freaking hilarious. But yeah, I actually like all the Jaws movies. I like all the Jaws movies. Jaws 3 is fun because it's kind of bad. It's not very good. It's my least favorite of the series, put it that way. Jaws the Revenge is just so good because it's so bad. That you just can't stop watching it. It's a train wreck. It's just a train wreck. And I think, and there's like multiple versions. There's multiple versions of Jaws 4. There's versions where at the end of it, the Mario Van Peebles character lives. Versions where he dies. Just really, I mean, they just really had no idea what they were doing when they were making that movie. They really didn't. The fact that it's actually in focus is kind of odd to me. They at least got that right. Actually, the old NES video game Jaws that I loved that game, loved playing that game, is based off Jaws the Revenge. So I mean, there's parts where you're in the little boat, the little submersible submarine thing that Lance Guest character's in, floating around. At the end of the game, to beat the game, you've got to drive the bow of the ship into Jaws's throat as he's swimming towards you. He swims towards you and jumps up. You've got to time it just perfectly and drive the bow into his throat, and then it just ends. Jaws sinks to the bottom, and the plane that Michael Caine's character, since he's a pilot, it flies away into the sunset, and that's the end of the game. I don't know, for some reason I just love that game. But yeah, the Jaws series, I love it. I love them all. I mean, I love all the movies. The original, of course, is a classic. Jaws 2, not a bad movie on its own. Jaws 3, bad. Bad in a good way. Jaws 4, really, really, really bad in a really, really, really entertaining, fun way. Just put it that way. But I love all the movies. If they're on TV, I can't help but stop and watch them. I own them all on DVD. I own the original on Blu-ray. And actually, the other day I was out at a used bookstore and I picked these up for 50 cents each. This is Jaws 2, the novelization, and Jaws the Revenge, the novelization. So yeah, I thought these were funny little things that I could add to the video. But yeah, I'm actually kind of interested in reading these. I think particularly Jaws the Revenge, the novelization. Yeah, so I think it's kind of funny. Jaws the Revenge, the novelization. Yes, this is real. I'm actually holding this. This is an actual book. Oh yeah. So anyway, I thought these were cool, and I wanted to add them to this video. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the Jaws series. I love them all. So what can I say? I love the Jaws. One of the most disappointing things of my life. I always wanted to go to Universal Studios to ride the Jaws ride, which, I mean, I understand it's a very old ride. A lot of people say it's not that fun. I just wanted to ride it because I love the Jaws movie so much. So I finally get the opportunity last year to go to Universal Studios. So I am just, I'm going to ride the Jaws ride. They discontinued the Jaws ride last year. They took it down. They got rid of it. the year I'm going finally to Universal Studios to get the opportunity to ride the Jaws ride is the same year that they take it down. They dismantle it. And, you know, that drew a lot of ire from people who, you know, I guess loved the movies and loved the ride. And even though it wasn't that great a ride, it was just one of those things like, you know, how could you stop it? How could you take it down? How could you end it? You know, it was just like a piece of, you know, I don't know, sentimental art or something, you know. But yeah, my luck. I finally get to go, and that's the same year that they dismantle it, they take it down, which sucked. That sucked. But anyway, I'll go ahead and end this love fest for everything Jaws related. Yeah, so until next time, you guys take it easy. Peace.